Canine Wisdom, we want communication between the dog and owner to be clear, consistent, and easy for the dog to understand. Because of this, we use mark and reward-based training. The marker communicates to your dog, you just did the right thing and are about to earn a reward. The clicker works so well because the noise is a distinct, sharp sound that is like nothing your dog hears elsewhere. It is fast and accurately marks the moment your dog was successful. Alright guys, so Kathy here with Canine Wisdom. We're going to talk today a little bit about mark and reward-based training, how it applies with working with your dog, and some tips that you can do to make it a little bit easier. Now the main thing with mark and reward-based training is that you really want to make sure that your timing is correct, that you're observing your dog's behavior, and that whenever you click, it's whenever your dog has done something that you've asked them to do, like the cue sit or down, or something that you appreciate that your dog is doing. Sit. The great thing about mark and reward-based training is it streamlines the communication between you and your dog. Your dog will have the understanding once they are clicker trained that the moment they heard the click, that's what earned them the treat that follows. Science has proven that we have about 3 seconds to communicate to our dogs when they've done something right. And within that 3 seconds, if they don't receive the reward that they're looking for, then they won't make the connection that that behavior is what earned them the treat that follows. With mark and reward-based training, you cue your dog to do something, such as sit or down. The moment they do it, you click, and then you reward your dog afterwards. Even if you stumble with the food delivery portion of the training part, your dog will still have the understanding that sit equal the reward that follows. So you'll see here with Clover, Clover down. If I click the moment she lies down, then I'm going to reach in my treat pouch and reward my dog. Clover sit. The moment she sits, I click, I reach in my treat pouch and reward. Clover down. Clover sit. Clover, go to your bed. One of the main components about mark and reward-based training is keeping your hands at what we call home base. For some people, that's right here, about midsection. Other people like to hold their hands next to their side. Some people hold their hands behind their back. I want you to find a spot that's comfortable for you. That way your dog isn't focused on what your hands are doing and they're more listening to the cues that are coming out of your mouth. Clover, all done. If you're having a challenging time with the clicker, you can use a verbal marker, such as yes, in replace of the clicker. I recommend that you give it a good college try, though, as the clicker does have benefits over a verbal marker when used correctly. The clicker is a consistent noise that will always have the same outcome. If multiple family members are training a dog with the same verbal marker, it can become confusing for the dog as each person's voice and pronunciation of the verbal marker will vary slightly. The clicker is a unique sound that your dog only hears during training, whereas a verbal marker can sometimes get lost in translation with all the other words we say around our dogs. And let's face it, we talk too much as a species. If your dog is fearful of the sound of the clicker, be careful where you are positioning the clicker. If you click too close to your dog's ears, he may become sound sensitive to the noise of the clicker. If he shies away and appears fearful of the sound, I recommend trying out quieter clickers or use a verbal marker. Another thing you can do is begin to muffle the sound of the clicker by placing the clicker in your pocket or putting the clicker behind your back when you are initially training your dog. Typically, after a week of training, your dog will come to realize the sound of the clicker is always paired with yummy treats. Usually after that realization, the dog will not be fearful of the sound anymore. During the beginning stages of learning, you are going to be clicking and treating a lot. I use the term Pez dispenser for this. I want you to click and treat your dog for all the good behavior that you appreciate throughout the day. The more you click and treat for the good behavior, the more likely your dog will start to offer this behavior on his own. But don't worry, the clicker is a tool, and just like any other dog training tool, we fade this out as our dog's training advances. You will not be walking around for the life of your dog with a clicker around your wrist. One thing I want to highly recommend that you refrain from doing is clicking and not treating. This devalues the sound of the click and leads to unclear communication between you and your dog. As your dog's training advances, and once your dog begins to understand and generalize what you want from him, your dog will have to work harder for one click and one treat. For example, when working with a dog who is learning new things, I would click and treat often for offering or responding correctly to the sit cue. Once the dog knows what I want from him and is sitting accurately when I ask him to, I would make him perform the same behavior a couple times in a row before clicking and treating. Or I would begin to add distance and duration to the sit cue before I click and treated. Don't worry, all this will make sense as you continue this training journey. It will all smoothly go together once you practice and play around with what works well for you and your dog. You'll learn the advanced concepts step by step as we proceed through this course. One last thing before I let you go. During training, it may seem like you need an extra set of hands to effectively work with your dog. Initially, all this training gear may seem overwhelming, but before you know it, the clicker will seem like an extension to your hand, and you will find your own rhythm and techniques for holding all the gear. Although you will find ways that make the training tools feel comfortable in your hands, here are a few suggestions. Use a button clicker instead of a box clicker. The box clickers just feel cumbersome, whereas the button clickers, especially the teardrop-shaped ones, are ergonomically designed to fit in your hand. My favorite clicker is the Star Mark clicker. Keep your clicker hand at waist level. No reason to click it towards your dog and use it as a pretend wand. The auditory click is what's important about clicker training. Use a treat pouch. Treat pouches help tremendously as they free up your hands. I cannot stress this enough. At the beginning of the course, there's a handout that has a list of recommended treat pouches. My favorite is the Rapid Rewards treat pouch. During training sessions when your dog is on leash, hold the leash in your right hand so it hangs in front of you. Hold the clicker in your right hand too. Place the treat pouch on your left side. By holding the clicker and leash in your right hand, it will free up your other hand so you are able to feed treats to your dog smoothly. This setup will help in later exercises when we begin to teach loose leash walking and heel. Practice without your dog. Have someone bounce a ball up and down and mark the moment the ball touches the ground or goes over the person's head. This may sound silly, but timing is everything with mark and reward training, and practicing without your dog will allow you to focus on the task at hand. If the leash adds more to the training setup than what you can handle, initially practice in your living room without a leash on your dog. Become more comfortable with all the gear before adding the leash to the training sessions. Alright guys, that's it for now. Go ahead and grab your treat pouch, stock it full of lots of yummy treats, grab your clicker, and do a small training session with your dog. Remember to keep your training sessions fun and upbeat. 3 to 5 minute training sessions are all you need to get started with. Happy training!